All right, so moving on to the next segment, we're going to pivot here over to the world of football inside the NFL world, and I'll be sharing my own personal list of the biggest NFL what ifs in NFL history. So this is my own personal list. I have 5 huge scenarios that could have changed everything in the NFL landscape if these things never happened in the NFL, or a different term of events occurred when these things happened in the NFL during the NFL timeline over the years. So biggest one if at number one, or not in any particular order, but the first one on my list will be Drew Bledsoe. What if Drew Bledsoe never got injured in 2001? Now, at the time, Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, and he looked like he was going to be the QB1 for the forsake of the future, because at the time he signed a 10-year, $103 million deal with the New England Patriots, and $103 million was a big time contract be in the beginning part of the 21st century in the early 2000s. So he signed that contract in week 2 in the 2001 NFL season. Drew Bledsoe was going for a quarterback run and trying to just scramble to get the first down, got injured and had internal bleeding and was rushed to the hospital in that ball game. And so once that happened, it was number 12, TB12, Tom Brady, that came in, the former 6th-round pick from Michigan, came in, started, and never looked back. And if you think about it, Tom Brady, if that injury never happened, would Tom Brady and Bill Belichick be a part of the New England Patriots dynasty that is remembered as one of, if not the greatest dynasty in NFL history, because they won 6 titles together, dominated for nearly 20 years together in New England. You had the best quarterback of all time matching up against arguably the best head coach of all, teaming up with the best head coach of all time, and they created a dynasty. But if that never happened, if that Drew Bledsoe injury never would have happened, would Drew Bledsoe be the one winning these Super Bowls? Would Tom Brady ever got a shot as a starting quarterback in the NFL, because he wasn't going to get any PT with Drew Bledsoe in front of him? You got to think about that as one of the craziest and bizarre moments that changed the landscape of the NFL forever. And you got to think of, is that really one of the biggest what ifs in NFL history? So that one is personally on my list. Next one would be the Seattle Seahawks. What if the Seattle Seahawks ran the ball at the 1 yard line in Super Bowl 49? I think this still has to be one of the biggest what ifs 10 years ago, a decade ago. And if the Seahawks ran the ball at the 1 yard line, they probably would have won Super Bowl 49. They had one of the best running backs in the league at the time, and Marshawn Lynch, that was just eating up the New England Patriots defense in that game. He had some special runs and was adding his own performance to help the Seahawks win another title in Seattle. But you look back at that game, at the scenario at the 1 yard line, there was only 26 seconds left with one timeout. And if you ran the ball at the 1 yard line, you probably would have scored, and you would have went up 31-28 in that ball game. And I don't think 26 seconds or more or less 26 seconds or less would have been enough for Tom Brady and that New England Patriots team to drive down the field and kick a field goal to get the game into overtime. I truly don't think that would have happened. So that interception that Russell Wilson threw at the 1 yard line, picked off by Malcolm Butler, it has to be one of the biggest what ifs of all time, because Tom Brady wouldn't be sitting here with 7 Super Bowl rings, more Super Bowl rings than any NFL franchise in history. Russell Wilson would have 2 rings and probably stamp his way to the Hall of Fame once it's all said and done. Now his career, you don't know if he's going to get into the Hall of Fame based off of everything that has happened after this play. So I think if they ran the ball, the Seattle Seahawks, this team would probably stuck around for another 3 to 5 years, probably could have won another Super Bowl to bring to Seattle, because this team was stacked top to bottom at the time. They had Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, Bobby Wagner, the Legion of Boom, and Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, and Pete Carroll as your head coach. Oh my gosh, that is any team's dream to go on significant runs. But once this play happened, it was all she wrote. And that killed the team, and that killed the chemistry of what these players have built and developed out there in Seattle on both ends of the ball. Everything basically all came to a crashing end on that day. And little by little, piece by piece, they all departed out of Seattle one by one by one. But if they just ran the damn ball with 26 seconds left, that could have been one of the biggest what ifs in NFL history, especially in recent memory. So that one's on my own personal list. Now this next one, I really wish didn't happen. And this one hits home because what if Sean Taylor was never murdered. I mean, Sean Taylor was at the peak of his career. He was actually starting to peak by the unfortunate passing, and he only played 3.5 years in the NFL. And if Sean Taylor played more years and he never, unfortunately, was murdered, he probably would have been one of the greatest defensive backs of all time. I mean, this guy had 3.5 years of league experience in the NFL. He's already killing it, and known for being one of the best safeties in the league with guys like Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu, just to name a few, back in that time when he was a part of the NFL playing for the Washington Redskins at the time. And Sean Taylor was just a phenomenal player. His football IQ was great and phenomenal. He was a big hitter, could read the quarterback's eyes and run from the other side of the field to make a play, pick the ball off, and if he was about to get tackled with the ball in his hands, he'd do the perfect pitch back to get another guy, a part of his defensive unit, some yards, or they go take it to the house and score for a touchdown. But he was a big difference maker, a former first-round pick, 5th overall when he came out of Miami, playing for the Miami Hurricanes in his collegiate days. This man was a big difference maker, part of his defense, only 24 years of age. That is a huge what-if, because that man meant a lot to that Redskins organization. And I remember being a young Cowboys fan, I'm like, Dad, who is this player? And he would roll his eyes, this is Sean Taylor. That guy's a beast. So I remember even watching Sean Taylor as a youngin', and I still go back and look at his highlights to this day. And I actually watched his highlights today, reminiscing about how good of a player he was. And obviously he goes viral for that Pro Bowl hit that he had on special teams, where the Pro Bowl is just like you kick your feet back and relax and just have an extra game in Hawaii. That's how it used to go back in the day when you wore your helmet and shoulder pads. But Sean Taylor said, I'm going to bring my head into the ball game. So definitely a big what if, because that man would have been a Hall of Famer and known as one of the greatest defensive backs of all time. Unfortunately, gone before everything fully came to full circle, but as known a legend in my eyes for the time that he played for 3.5 years in the NFL. That's a huge what if. Oh my gosh, this one. Another what if. What if Dez Bryant caught it? Now, nostalgia is a real thing, guys. That 2014 Dallas Cowboys team was perfect to me. Other than defense, that team was absolutely perfect. We went 12-4 that year, finished first place in the NFC East, but we ran into a dangerous Detroit Lions team that was led by Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson in the first round. And honestly, we got lucky. I will admit it to you guys. We got lucky with the pass interference call that Anthony Hitchens had. The linebacker that was in coverage that should have got called for a pass interference, a PI, but it didn't happen. So we moved on to the next round, in the divisional round against the Green Bay Packers, and that was one hell of a game. You had the battle between Tony Romo and Aaron Rodgers at the time. But in the fourth quarter, on the 4th-2 play, Tony Romo hooked up with Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant caught the ball, fell to the ground with the ball hitting the ground, and Dez Bryant trying to have control of the ball. He got control of the ball, but the ball already hit the ground, and that damn fat-ass bastard, Mike McCarthy, called a challenge on the play, and they reviewed it, and the ruling was overturned. But nowadays, it's crazy because that's an NFL catch. As long as you have possession as the ball, as long as you're going to the ground, and you have full possession, even if the ball hits the ground, it's a catch. And the Cowboys I really believe they could have won it all that year. They would have played the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship. I think we could have beat them because we beat them in the regular season in Seattle. And I think we could have had a clear shot playing the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl that year, Super Bowl 49. That Dallas Cowboys team was stacked. You had Tony Romo, DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, Jason Witten on offense, along with the great wall of Dallas of Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin. That was probably the chance to break the curse of the Dallas Cowboys not making an NFC Championship game. Now we're hitting nearly the 30-year mark, and we're the final team to not make the NFC Championship since the late 90s. So we're in the longest drought in NFL history, but man, it has to be one of the hugest moments in NFL history to know that the Dallas Cowboys were this close of doing that, and we came up short in the NFC divisional round that year. And final biggest what if would be RG3. What if RG3 never got hurt during the game, or during the wild card game in 2012-2013 season? RG3 was about to change the game as a dual threat quarterback, and he was known for his unique RPO play and his dual threat presence when he played at the collegiate level at Baylor when he won a Heisman Trophy award. I mean, RG3 had a strong arm and he was dynamic with the ball in his hands, making plays with his legs. This man looked like he was going to be the future of what dual threat quarterbacks were. And I think even though his prime only lasted a year, I think he opened the door for quarterbacks of what Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts do today. And obviously there was once upon a time of Michael Vick that nobody will ever forget about. But I'm talking about the new breed of type of style of RPO that you see in NFL offenses. RG3 opened the door for those three respective quarterbacks that I just said. He was dynamic. He was special for the Washington Redskins, and he had a great rookie season that unfortunately went down in the wild card game when they played the Seattle Seahawks at home, and the LCL knee injury where he tried to go after the ball with a bad snap by the center. He's running after the ball and his knee just jerked to the right or to the left, and his knee gave out on him. He couldn't get up, and that was really the end of the good years that we've seen RG3 in the NFL. All came to an end in his rookie season. And I'm not sure to this day if he was honestly supposed to be out there because Mike Shanahan wanted his ass out there so they could win a ball game in the playoffs. But I would have savored my rookie quarterback for better days, and you always live to fight another day. I would have had RG3 sit out if he was not 100%. I don't even know if he was truly medically cleared by the whole entire medical staff to be out there that day. But RG3 was just never the same, and he went downhill. Plus, you guys got to think about in this scenario, if the RG3 situation never happened, mind you, that year in 2012, in the NFL draft, they later took Kirk Cousins in the later rounds. So you had RG3 and Kirk Cousins on the same team in Washington. What if Kirk Cousins never got a chance to shine with RG3? Would he be the big name that he was today? Because he immediately took over once RG3 started going down. He was out of Washington. And you think about how many teams needed a quarterback at that time. And truly towards the midway point of the 2010s decade where you had teams desperate like the Rams and the Eagles that traded up in the later drafts later on that decade. They get quarterbacks like Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. What if you never had to do that and Kirk Cousins hit the market 2 years after his rookie contract because he was a late round pick? He wasn't going to stay in Washington. So I think that's my own personal list of top 5 what ifs, biggest what ifs in NFL history. There's much more, but that's my own personal list. And yeah, those things make you stay up at night if you're a true diehard NFL fan like me. But those are my own personal biggest what ifs in NFL history.